A very good morning, children. Today, we are going to read a drama, the last drama of 10th class. So, what is the name of the drama? It is The Proposal. Yes, proposal. When you listen to the word proposal, what do you think is this drama is about? What is the proposal? So, when you are discussing in the class some cultural program, so you will be talking among yourselves, and one person will be tell, "Shall we take a dance? Shall we sing a song? Shall we play a drama?" So that is the proposal what will be going on in the classroom discussion, right? And a business proposal here. And what is this proposal? A boy proposing to a girl, right? So there can be many stories which is connected to the proposal. But when in 10th class textbook, when a proposal with a proposal title, a drama is written, that should be written something very interesting to the students. What could be the topic? Honestly, it could be the proposal of a man to a girl, right? Yes, honestly, that is the correct one, which will interest the kids. Yes, this proposal is about that only. So, this is a Russian drama, and it is written in a very funny way, and you are going to enjoy that a lot. Let us see about the author first. What is that the author wanted to tell in this? What is that the author? What do you know about the author? So Anton Chekhov is the name itself is telling that he was a Russian playwright. Yes, Anton Pavlovich Chekhov was a Russian playwright, and he wrote many short stories, and who is among the greatest stories of short fiction in history. His career as a playwright produced four classics, and his best short story was the stories are held in high esteem by writers and critics. So they liked his stories a lot because high esteem, lot of respect. He was born on 29 January 1860 in Taganrog, Russia, and he died on 15 July 1904 in Baden-Weiler, Germany. And he wrote several short stories like The Chameleon, The Bed Boys, Lady with the Dog, and Kashantaka, Gooseberries, Word Number 6, and many, many more. He wrote several books like books also there. The Wife and Other Stories, The Lady with the Dog, Stories of Anton Chekhov, Ward Number 6, and many more are the books what he had written. So, before going into the story, let me tell you in brief what is there in that story. So, in Russian, before going to the story, let us know about what happens in Russia, how the marriage proposals are made, and all that. Okay? Are you ready to listen to the drama, read the drama? Yes, proposal. Before we read, the word proposal has several meanings. Can you guess what sort of proposal the play is about? A suggestion, plan, or scheme for doing something? An, an offer for a possible plan or action? And the act of asking someone's hand in marriage, right? Okay, now let us know about what is that the author wanted to say in this Russian wedding. Do you know anything about the Russian marriage ceremonies? Read this article about Russian wedding. Preparations for a Russian wedding. A Russian wedding is very simple. The planning only includes arranging for rings, bride's dress, cars, and a reception. Earlier, the bride's family paid for the reception, but nowadays, brides and groom's families usually share expenses. A Russian wedding lasts for 2 days. Some weddings last as long as a week, and the occasion becomes something to remember for years. The necessary part of the wedding ceremony is a wedding procession of several cars. The best friends of the groom, bride, meet before the wedding a few times, make posters, write speeches, and organize contests. When the groom When the groom arrives to fetch the bride for the registration, he has to fight to get her. Russians usually live in apartments in tall buildings, and the groom has to climb several steps to reach his bride. But at each landing, he must answer a question to be allowed to go up. The bride's friends ask difficult questions, sometimes about the bride, sometimes just difficult riddles, and the groom must answer with the help of his friends. For example, he may be shown a few photos of a baby girls and he must say which one his bride is. If he guesses wrong, he must pay cash and move ahead. After the marriage registration, the newly married couple leaves the guest for a tour of a city sights. After 2 or 3 hours of the city tours, the couple arrives at the reception. The couple sits at a specially arranged table with their families, friends, and invited guests. The reception starts with toast to the couple. A wedding toast is a custom where a close friend or a relative of the groom or the bride says a few words to wish the couple. Then everyone raises their glass of wine and drink it up at the same moment. The groom is then asked to kiss the bride. After a few toasts, people start eating and drinking and generally have fun. After some time, After some time, the bride gets stolen. She disappears, and when the groom starts looking for her, he is asked to pay a fees. Usually, it is his friend who steals the bride. Then there are the bride's friends. They steal the bride's shoes. The groom must pay money for the shoe too. The guests enjoy watching these tussles and continue party. Okay, so almost many things we do follow, right? Like hiding the shoes and all that. But the only thing what we won't do is climbing the steps and then hiding the bride somewhere else and asking the questions. It's really funny, right? Now, do you think Indian and Russian weddings have any customs in common, similar? Yes. With the help of the partner, fill in the table below. So here you are the partner and you are able, you should do that. And if you are really interested, you can call your friend and both of you talk to each other and then complete this. Customs similar in Indian ones, customs different from Indian ones regarding the Russian marriages. Okay, now here we are going to read about the drama, actually what happened in that. The proposal, originally titled A Marriage Proposal, is a one-act play, a farce by the Russian short story writer and a dramatist Anton Chekhov. It was written in 1888 and 89. So what is farce means? Farce means nothing but humorous play or mockery, making fun of the customs, whatever were there, okay, with lot of humor. The play is about the tendency of wealthy families to seek ties with other wealthy families to increase their estates by encouraging marriages that make good economic sense. So the ultimate aim of the marriage is two rich families should marry together and they become and their estates will be they'll become still richer. That is the the proposal will be on that grounds. So Ivan Lemov, a long time wealthy neighbor of Stephen Chubukov, also wealthy, comes to seek the hand of Chubukov's 25-year-old daughter, Natalia. So Natalia is the daughter of Chubukov, and their neighbor Ivan Lomov comes to their house to ask for Natalia's hand. All three are quarrelsome people and they quarrel over petty issues. The proposal is in danger of being forgotten amidst all this quarreling. But Economic good sense ensures that the proposal is made. After all, although the quarreling perhaps continues. So the entire drama is about he comes there to propose to her and ask her hand, but finally all the three of them end up fighting together. But ultimately, again, the proposal starts, and then ultimately, finally, what happens? Let us wait and see. Though they gave, although the quarreling perhaps continues. So the proposal, he proposes and they accepts, is happened. But again, the atmosphere is created in such a way that after this, again, they will continue the fighting. Now we are going back. We are going to read the story. Now, characters in the drama. Stefanoj Chubukov, a landowner, and Natalia Stepanova is the daughter, 25 years old, and Ivan Vasilievich Lomov is the neighbor of Chubukov, a large and healthy but very suspicious landowner. So the characteristics of Ivan Lomov were also given there. Only 3 characters are there in the entire drama. A drawing room in Chubukov's house. Lomov enters wearing a dress jacket, a white gloves, and Chubukov rises to meet him. My dear fellow, whom do I see? Ivan Vasilievich? I am extremely glad. Squeezes his hand. Now, this is a surprise, my darling. How are you? Then Lomov, thank you. And how may you be getting on? So, how are you getting on? He asked. And then Chubukov gives. We must get along somehow, my angel. Thanks to your prayers and so on. Sit down. Please do. Now, you shouldn't forget all about your neighbors, my darling, my dear fellow. Why are you so formal in your get-up, evening dress, gloves, and so on? Can you be going anywhere, my treasure? So look at the way he is talking. The adjectives, whatever he were using to describe the neighbor or the love, what he is expressing using those words. My angel, thanks for your prayers. And then you should not forget your neighbors, my darling. And then, my dear fellow, why are you dressing up in formals? Are you going out anywhere? My treasure. So in this small paragraph, my angel, my darling, and my treasure, and then my dear fellow. So many are used. So all these things make, as if somebody talks to us in that way, that gives more than love, the artificiality of that, right? So do you feel that it was not that real love what Chubukov was showing, that it was just artificiality? Let us see whether that is real or artificial. Now Lomov is speaking. No, I haven't come only to see you, honored Stefan Stepanovich. So here, honored, again showing some more extra respect. No, I'm not going anywhere. I have come to your house only to see you only. Then Chubukov. Then why are you in evening dress, my precious? As if you are paying a New Year's Eve visit. So as if you are paying New Year's Eve, one day before New Year, they will celebrate now. So are you coming to wish us as if you are coming to wish New Year? Why did you come the way you are dressed up, like in that way? Then he is telling, well, you see, it's like this. Takes his arm. I have come to you, honored Stefan Stepanovich, to trouble you with a request. Not once or twice have I already had the privilege of applying to you for help, and you have always, so to speak, I must ask you pardon. I'm getting excited. I shall drink some water, honored Stephen. Stepanovich. So here he started taking the arm. I have come to you, honored Stephen Stepanovich, just to give you a trouble and make one more request. Not once or twice I have already come and I'm asking you privilege. And before he told that, wait a minute, I'm getting excited. Please let me have a glass of water. I shall drink some water. Then continues, drinks water and continues aside. So now what is Chubukov is thinking himself is given there aside. He has come to borrow money. Shan't give him any. Aloud. What is it, my beauty? So look at the behind he told, again he came to borrow money. This time I'm not going to give him any money. And again, loudly he asked, what is it, my beauty? Look at the way showing the love. You see, honored Stepanich, I beg pardon, Stepan Honorich. I am awfully excited, as you will please notice. In short, you alone can help me, though I don't deserve it, of course, and haven't any right to count on your assistance. So before going that, he started prolonging that I don't deserve it, but I have come to ask you something. Oh, don't go round and round it, darling. Spit it out. Well, speak it. Don't spit it out means speak. Why did you come? Reveal that. One moment, this very minute, the fact is, I have come to ask the hand of your daughter, Natalia Stepanov, Stepanova in marriage. Finally, he told. Why did he come there? So, this is, you can see both of them in the picture. Now, Shubukov joyfully, by Jove, Ivan Vasilovich, say it again. I didn't hear at all. I have the honor to ask, interrupting. My dear fellow, I'm so glad, and so on. Yes, indeed. And all that sort of thing. Embraces and kisses, Lamo. I've been hoping for it for a long time. It's been my continual desire. Sheds a tear. And I have always loved you, my angel, as if you were my own son. May God give you both his help and his love, and so on. So both means here his help and his love. Who is that? His God. And so much hope. What am I behaving in this idiotic way for? So even he is now excited. I'm off my balance with joy. Absolutely off my balance. Oh, with all my soul, I'll go and call Natasha and all that. So even he was excited. He wanted to go and call his daughter. Greatly moved, honored Stepanovich, do I think I may count on her consent? So is she going to accept that? Why, of course, my darling. And as if she won't consent. She's in love, edged. She's like a lousy cat, and so on. Shan't be long. And he goes away. So, okay. It's cold. I'm trembling all over. Just as if I would get an examination before me. So now Chubukov is not there now. So she is very crazily in love with you, he told, and then started continuing. Okay, it's cold. I'm trembling all over, just as if I would get an examination before me. The great thing is, I must have my mind made up. If I give myself time to think, to hesitate, to talk a lot, to look for an ideal or for real love, then I'll never get married. Brr, it's cold. Natalia Stepanova is an excellent housekeeper and not bad looking, well educated. And what more do I want? But I'm getting a noise in my ears from excitement and drinks. And it's impossible for me not to marry. In the first place, I'm already 35, a critical age, so to speak. In the second place, I ought to lead a quiet and regular life. I suffer from palpitations. I'm excitable and always getting awfully upset. At this very moment, my lips are trembling and there is a witch in my right eyebrow. But the very worst of all is the way I sleep. I no sooner get into bed and begin to go off when when suddenly something in my left side gives a pull and I can feel it in my shoulder and head. I must jump up like a lunatic, walk about a bit, and lie down again. But as soon as I begin to get off to sleep, there is another pull. And this way happens 20 times. So Natalia enters there. So now he is talking to himself and he is telling that if not now, I cannot propose to her afterwards. So he was telling about his health afterwards. So he was telling that he was suffering from palpitations, and that means heartbeat fast and tense and all that. So he is very excited, and then he feels that there is a slight twitch in right eyebrow, means a movement of that very quick movement of that eyebrow. Okay, and then um, so next he's talking about whenever he was going to bed and he feels that there is a pain and in his left side gives a pull and he could not sleep and he have to get up and walk, and when that pain was a little bit reduced, again when he wants to sleep, and again that pull starts and again he gets up, and that continues for 20 minutes on the whole. So when he was thinking about his health and it's time to propose to her, and she's really good housekeeper and well educated, and what else does any person want to marry a girl? So that's what he was thinking among himself about. After that, about his health, it's going on in his minds, and at that time she came. Now when she comes, look at the way she talks. Well, there, it's you. And Papa said, go, there's a merchant come for his goods. How do you do, Ivan Vasilyevich? So Papa told that somebody merchant came to take the goods. It's you. How are you? Casually calling. How do you do, honored Natalia? Natalia Stepanova? Then Natalia, you must excuse my apron and negligee. We are shelling peas for drying. Why haven't you been here for such a long time? Sit down. They say themselves, won't you have some lunch? So casual. If somebody comes to our house, so first she asks, please excuse me for my, just because we are keeping the peas in the sun to get them dry. No, thank you. So she asked for lunch. No, he told, no, thank you. I have already had. Then smoke. Here are the matches. The weather is splendid now, but yesterday it was so wet that the workmen did not do anything at all. How much hay have you stocked? Just think. I felt greedy and had a whole field cut, and now I'm not at all pleased about it because I'm afraid my hay may not, may rot. So I ought to have waited a bit. But what's this? Why you are in evening dress? Well, I never. Are you going to a ball or what? Though I must say you look better. Tell me, why are you got up like this? So first she came and asked all questions. So have cigarette and then smoke. Here are the matches. Then the weather is really very splendid today. Yesterday it was very wet and no workman came. And how much hay have you staked? So they're talking about the grass fields which were cut and then keep it for animals to eat. Or the other way is how much money did you earn? Stacked means money, hey, staked money pulled up. And then she told that she was very greedy and she got that field cut, and then she was afraid that she did that before in the field, that before getting it proper, and they may get spoiled. And then after talking everything, and then she looked at him. Why did you come like that, dressed in that evening dress? Anyway, are you going to any ball? But you are looking really very well in that. Now Lomo, very excited, you see. Honored Natalia Stepanova, the fact is, I have made up my mind to ask you to hear me out. Of course, you shall be surprised and perhaps even angry. But, a aside, it's awfully cold. So he's feeling tensed and it's very cold. And he was trying to explain. And look at the way he's adding. Of course, you will be surprised and even perhaps angry also, because the way I'm going to propose to you. What's the matter? Well, I shall try to be brief. You must know, honored Natalia Stepanova, that I have long since my childhood, in fact, had a privilege, had the privilege of knowing your family. My late aunt and her husband, from whom, as you know, I inherited my land, always had the greatest respect for your family, and your late mother, the Lemurs and the Chupkos, have already had the most friendly, and I might almost say the most affectionate regard for each other. And as you know, my land is a near neighbor of yours. We shall remember that my oxen meadows touch your bridge woods. So started talking about all their family background, that my aunt know and her husband know your great grandpa, your father, and also your mother, and both the families are really very friendly because we are neighbors. And then while talking that, he told that you will remember that my oxen meadows touch your bridge woods. So now they started the problem. Excuse my interrupting you. You say my oxen meadows, but are they yours? Yes, mine. What are you talking about? Oxen meadows are ours, not yours. No, mine, honored Natalia Stepanova. Well, I never knew that before, but how do you make that out? How? And speaking of those oxen meadows which are wedged in between your bridge and the burnt marsh. Yes, yes, they are ours. No, you are mistaken, honored Natalia Stepnova. They are mine. Just think, Ivan Vasilyevich, how long have they been yours? How long? As long as I remember. Really? You won't get me to believe that. But you must see see from the documents. Honored Natalia Stepnova, Oxen Meadows, it's true, were once the subject of dispute, but now everybody knows that they are mine. They are nothing to argue. There is nothing to argue about. You see, my aunt's grandmother gave the free use of these meadows in perpetuity to the peasants of your father's grandfather, in return for which they were to make bricks for her. The peasants belonging to your father's grandfather had the free use of meadows for 40 years and had got into the habit of regarding them as their own when it happened that. So, started telling the history. So what is that? My aunt's grandmother gave to your father's grandfather, and they were used making in bricks and give to her. So finally they are mine, and everybody knows that. So finally she was going to tell no for that. So father's grandparents' time, some exchange was happened, and now no, it isn't at all like that. Both grandfather and great grandfather reckoned that their land extended to burnt marsh, which means that oxen meadows were ours. I don't see what there is to argue about. It is simply silly. I shall show you the documents, Natalia Stepanova. No, you are simply joking or making fun of me. What a surprise! We have had the land for nearly 300 years, and then you have suddenly told that it isn't ours. Even Ivan Vasilevich, I can hardly believe my own ears. These meadows aren't worth much to me. They are, they only come to 5 decitants, which means if 1 point, hectare, 1 hectare, and uh, are worth just 300 rubles, the Russian money. But I cannot stand unfairness. Say what you will, I can't stand unfairness. So unfairness, they are not costly lands, they are very cheap, and the land is just 1 hectare or something like that. But what I don't like is the way you are talking. Those are mine, and I don't want them to be yours. That's it. I can't bear unfairness. Hear me out. I implore you, I'm requesting you, hear me out. The peasants of your father's grandfather, as I have already had the honor of explaining to you, used the baked bricks um, for my aunt's grandmother. Now, my aunt's grandmother, wishing to make them a pleasant, so he was telling again the same story. So she told, I can't make head or tail of all this about aunts and grandfathers and grandmothers. The meadows are ours, that's all. Mine. Lomo said, mine. Ours. You can go on proving it for 2 days and on end. You can go and put on 15 dress jackets. But I tell you, they are ours. Ours, ours. I don't want anything of yours, and I don't want to give anything of mine. So there. So I don't want anything which belong to you, and I don't want to give which belong to me to you. They are ours. That's it. Natalia, Stepanova, I don't want the meadows, but I am acting on principle. If you like, I'll make you a present of them. So it's not about that. If you want, I can present you that meadows. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the principle, telling that those meadows are mine. I can make you a present of them myself because they are mine. Your behavior, Ivan Wallerstein, is strange to say the least. Up to this, we have already thought of you as a good neighbor, a friend. Last year, we lent you our threshing machine, although on that account we had to put off our own threshing till November. But you behaved to us as if you were gypsies, giving me my own land. Indeed, no, really, that's not at all neighborly. In my opinion, it's very impudent. If you want to know. So, what is this? When you want help, we helped you. You came and asked about the threshing machines. We gave you that. And for that reason, we have to postpone ours till November. And now, the way you are talking, it's not at all neighborly. I didn't like it. Now, Lemo, then you make out that I am a land grabber. Do you mean to say that I am land grabber? Madam, never in my life have I grabbed anybody's else land, and I shalln't allow anybody to accuse me of having done so. So how can you call me land grabber? I didn't grab anybody's land, and I don't want anybody's land, and I don't want anybody call me land grabbers. Quickly steps to the carafe and drinks some more water. Oxen meadows are mine. It's not true. They are ours, mine. Look at the way they are fighting. It's not true. I'll prove it. I'll send my movers out to the meadows this very day. So Natalia is telling that she is going to send her mower, the people who will cut the grass today only. What? Lemur was surprised. My mowers will be there this very day. I'll give it to them in the neck. You dare? So she told them that she was going to send. Then, if you send your Lemur was telling, I'm going to give them in the neck, means I'm going to beat them. You dare? Clutches his heart. Oxen meadows are mine. You understand mine. You understand? Mine. Oxen meadows are mine. You understand? Mine. Please don't shout. You can shout yourself hoarse in your own house. But here, I must ask you to restrain yourself. So, Natalia was telling, did not allow. See, clutches his heart. So, Lomo started feeling something. So, he started catching his heart and then telling, Oxen meadows are mine. Then, please don't shout. You can shout in your own house. And don't shout here. This is my house. If it wasn't, madam, for this awful, excruciating palpitation in my, if my whole inside wasn't upset, I'll talk to you in a different way. He yells, Oxen meadows are mine, ours, mine, ours, mine. So both of them started talking, and Lemo started catching his heart and then speaking. Then enters Chubukov. Chubukov thinks that they were proposing, and then why they are shouting that he came now. What's the matter? What are you shouting for? Papa, please tell this gentleman who owns Oxen Meadows? We or he? To Lemo, darling, the Oxen Meadows are ours. But please, Stephano, how can they be yours? Do be a reasonable man. My aunt's grandmother gave the meadows for the temporary and free use of yours. Grandfather's peasants. The peasants used to land for 40 years and got accustomed to it as if it were their own. When it happened, that again started talking that grandparents' history. Excuse me, my precious. You forgot just this, that the peasants did not pay your grandmother and all that because the meadows were in dispute and so on. And now everybody knows that they are ours. It means that you haven't seen the plan. I shall prove to you that they are mine. You won't prove it, my darling. I shall. Dear one, why yell like that? So Chibuko was shouting. Why are you shouting like that? Why won't prove anything just by yelling? You can't prove anything when you yell like that. I don't want anything of yours and don't intend to give up what I have. Why should I? And you know, my beloved, that if you propose to go on arguing about it, I would much sooner give up the meadows to the peasants than to you there. So why are you shouting like that? If you shout, they are not going to be yours. And if you shout like that and do anything, I will just go and give the meadows to the peasants only. I don't understand. How have you the right to give away somebody else's property? So how can you give my meadows to your peasants? It's my meadows. You may take it that I know whether I have the right or not, because, young man, I'm not used to speaking, I'm not used to being spoken to it that tone of voice, and so on. I, young man, am twice your age and ask you to speak to me without agitating yourself and all that. So he was requesting him, why are you shouting? Don't shout like that. And I'm twice of your age and stop shouting in that way. No, you just think I'm a fool and want to have me on. You call my land yours and then you want me to talk to you calmly and politely? Good neighbors, don't behave like that. Stepanovich, you are not a neighbor, you are a grabber. Now, Lemo started telling that he was a grabber. Chubuko, what's that? What did you say? Papa, send the movers out to the meadows at once. Natalaya told. What did you say, sir? Oxen meadows are ours, and I shan't give them up. Shan't give them up. Shan't give them up. So I shall not give you those meadows. She is stressing and telling. We shall see. I'll have the matter taken to court and then I'll show you. So to court, you take you can take it to court and all that. You can. I know you. You are just on the lookout for a chance to go to court and all that. You, petty forger, all your people were like that, all of them. So you, petty forger is nothing but the scoldings, children. From here onwards, you do find many scoldings, and I don't want to tell you the meanings of all that, like thieves and all the words were used there to just scolding each other. And that remaining part, you will find that they were just scolding each other, telling that meadows are mine and mine and mine. Never mind about my people. The Lemurs have all been honorable people, and not one has ever been tried for embezzlement like your grandfather. You Lemurs have had lunacy of your family, all of you, all. So Chubuko was telling, and Natalia is adding to that. Your grandfather was a drunkard, and your younger aunt, Na, Nastyasa, Nas- Nastasia, Natasya Mehelvarva ran away with an architect, and so on. So all sorts of scolding each other. And your mother was humpbacked, crutches at his heart. So he started feeling pain in the heart. Something pulling in my side, my head. Help, water. Your father was a guzzling gambler. And there haven't been any backbiters equal to your aunt. So both of them were shouting, whereas this man was not feeling well. My left, now this Chubukov is mentioned here as actually that was Lemo's dialogue. My left foot had gone to sleep. You are an intriguer. Oh, my heart. And it's an open secret that before the last elections, you, Bree, I can see stars. Where is my hat? It's low. It's dishonest. It's mean. And you are just a malicious, double-forced interview. Yes, here is my hat, my heart. Which way? Where is the door? Oh, I think I'm dying. My foot is quite numb. Goes to the door, following him. And don't see, don't set foot in my house again. Take it to the court. You will see. Lemo staggers out. Devil, take him. Walks out in excitement. And then, what rascal? What trust can one have in one's neighbors after that? The villain, the scarecrow, the monster. First, he takes out land and then he has the impudence to abuse us. And that blind hen, yes, the turnip ghost, has the confounded cheek to make the proposal, and so on. So now, father told that he came there to propose. What? A proposal. What a proposal? Why he came here to propose to you? To propose to me? Why didn't you tell me so before? Now she came to know that he has come there to propose to her. And now look at the way she is studying. So he dresses up in the evening clothes, the stuffed sausage, the Windsors and paste. So he again started scolding. Now look at the way she's doing. To propose to me? Ah, falls into an easy chair and wails. Bring him back, back. Ah, bring him here. Bring whom? Here. Quick, quick. I'm ill. Fetch him. Hysterically, she started talking. What's that? What's the matter with you? Clutches out his hand. Oh, unhappy man that I shall shoot myself. I shall hang myself. We have done for her. I'm dying. Fetch him at once. Don't yell. Tuff. And runs out and past Natalia. Stephenson wails. What have they done to me? Fetch back him. Fetch him. Past. Chibuko runs in. He is coming. And so on. They will take him out. Talk to him yourself. I don't want to. Wails, fetch him. He is coming, I tell you. Oh, what a burden, Lord, to be the father of grown-up daughter. I'll cut my throat. I will indeed. We cursed him, abused him, drove him out, and it's all of you. No, it is you. I'll tell it's not my fault. Lemo appears at the door. Now you talk to him yourself. So again, Lemo enters. So we are going to talk the remaining part of the drama in our next class. Okay?